It might be good if the rates are high, and it might be good if they go lay down, and it might be good if we build this ship, and it might be good if we scrap this ship, and it might be good with a GRI, and it might be good with a PSS buy, and it might be good if we go decarb, and it might be good if we do it right, and it might be good if we make it fit, and it might be good if we go for it, and it might be good if we synergize, and it might be good if we solve this now. Hey!
Good morning, JB.
Good morning, Niels.
How are you, man?
I'm really good.
Yeah?
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for having me this morning, Niels. Really happy to be here with you, and I'm gonna share the space with you in the coming hour or two. Really glad to see you again. It's been a while, so thank you for inviting me here.
Thank you, JB. As I said, I really appreciate that you accepted. It's not an easy endeavor for most of us. So I'll endeavor to make it as much as I can, comfortable.
Okay.
And we just roll. Okay.
Hopefully.
Cool. All right. JB, I'm gonna start big time, face to face. Do you remember what you told me when I left our company?
When you left our company?
Yes.
That it was finally time.
Yes, and that we will never see each other again.
Yeah, also probably.
You remember that?
Yes. I remember.
Funny, right? How life find a way.
Yes, true.
Right.
I agree with you. I was thinking about that. Actually, I was thinking about that last night when I was a bit anticipating the kind of question you would ask me this morning.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I think at some point I thought about, like, there are few people that you meet in your life where it just click, from the first day. And I remember clicking with you when we were doing what we were doing in CMA CGM. You were on the upside, I was on the finance side. So we had some pretty good arguments, a lot. And but yeah, I remember like just clicking with you and having a good connection. We kind of lost track for a bit of time, a few years. But it's not the first time where I kind of reconnect with someone with who I knew. It was we had a good connection. We had like a genuine connection. So I kind of knew that one day we would get in touch again, but I didn't know when. And I'm kind of happy it's happening right now.
Yeah, same.
And I feel like the last few months we have been catching up more and more. One reason being that you are also stepping forward into your career life with new decisions and
True.
new chapter upcoming, if I understand well. So really glad for you, and yeah.
Thanks, man. All right. JB, we always start by, I ask the question, can you describe yourself?
Okay.
With as many words or as shorter as you want.
Okay.
It's actually a simple question, but I take it from a friend of mine is a psychiatrist in Switzerland.
Okay.
My longest time frame. And he sees it as a tool because it really opens for the person to just decide and share what they want. Okay, so it's very an open question.
It's a good question. I think the first thing that comes to my mind is I am a very sporty guy.
Yeah.
I think as far as I remember, that's one of the first thing. So I'm gonna put aside, parents, education, all of that, but I think it's one of the first things that shaped me. So sport is one thing. I've been playing judo, rugby. I even did some long rifle shooting, for a while, since I was a kid. And after that, competition came naturally. So also very competitive. I think I like to challenge myself against others, but I also do like to see progress versus myself, how I was yesterday and a month before, etc., etc. So those are the two main things. As a kid, I like to go out, be with friends, take care of people in general. I think this is something also I had from a very young age. And yeah, gradually had some experience. Going abroad also is one big thing.
Mm-hmm.
I had from a very young age, I think I was 14, 15 years old. Yeah, 15. Went to the US by myself. I was welcome in a super nice American family for summertime, 3 months in California. So that's also one thing that shaped me a little bit. And went to business school and ended up in shipping. And after 9 years, just decided to go on my own. And here I am today in
All
Singapore, sitting with you.
No, but okay,
Yeah.
okay, cool. You said a few things that I would like to dig is you found competition to be something that echoes in you.
Yeah.
But you did say for me that there are two aspects: is you like to compete with others, or you also like to improve on yourself. What is your perception of defeat?
Well, I started rugby, I think I was under 10 years old, something like this.
Okay.
Judo, even earlier than that. I was
Okay.
5 years old, 6 years old, something like this. It was really my, judo was my first sport.
Okay, so let's take judo.
Yeah.
6 years old. You may have been put to face older guys, even just 8 years old, 9 years old. At that age, the strength is very different from the two ages.
Yeah.
And you may have win some and you may have lose some. How was defeat in your perception, in your heart, versus how today you will take a failure or a business model failure?
Yeah, I think it's I think sport is good at this, is that you learn to make mistakes or you learn to lose, actually.
Mhm.
And judo is a very, I would say, representative sport of that, because you lose in judo literally by falling on both of your shoulders, you know. So in judo, like your opponent really like win a game, I mean win a fight by putting you on your back, both shoulders touching the ground at the same time. That's the highest mark that you can have during a fight. And yeah, so technically like judo is all about like not being put on the floor and putting the other guy on the floor first. But ultimately, you always fall on the floor. Every fight, at some point, you're gonna fall on the floor. You're gonna have to stand up again, and you're gonna have to restart. So I feel judo is a sport that really forces you to face, you know, this kind of defeat constantly. And how do you get better day after day by just practicing? So when I was a very young kid, I had this. I started judo in a special dojo in Paris, where you have. I had a master, and it's really like, for those who know judo, it was really a master, because he was a white and red belt.
Okay.
Even became a red belt after that. So for those who know, white and red comes after black.
Wow. Okay.
So you have what we call Dan, levels of progression after black, where you start really learning pure technique of judo, like mastering judo. And it takes years and years and years of practice. And the guy was like, I think he was like 70 years old, maybe around that age when I started. And he was just, I think the guy was just like pure strength. Like he was old, but you know, the grip he had, like the strength he had in his hand and all of that, you could feel he has been doing that all his life. And the first few years he was asking us as kids to really focus on technique. He was teaching us value about how to respect others, how to respect the dojo itself, the place where you are, the environment. And I think as a kid, it's really teaching you things, you know, like on how you should behave within an environment with other people, etc. And I kind of liked it. I think at that age, I was already into like, okay, I want to fight. I want to put the kid on that floor, etc., etc. I want to do competition. I want to win. But I think what he was really focusing on was more on teaching us to respect others, to spend more time on technique. And later on, I mean, later on, I moved. My parents moved out of Paris, and I went in another place. Started to train judo in a much different environment where competition was actually available.
Mm-hmm.
And then I jumped into that kind of practice, and that's where I realized that everything I learned up front with that guy was like a massive lesson. Like you could feel that I was ready to really fight against older people. And you were saying earlier that sometime at that age, 2 years difference was making a huge difference. I actually were fighting against guys that were 2-3 years older than me at that time when I changed of places. So I think I was around 10, 11, and most of the guys were 13, 14. And because of technique, because of the way I had to, I learned how to fight, etc., I was able to manage that. So, but yeah, defeat is a thing that I learned through sports from a very young age with this judo practice.
I see quite a parallel with our business life, where when you're in a company, I think both of us have been shaped by some mentors on how to approach a situation, what to do, what to look at, and how to answer. All that is also an art of sorts. At least there is definitely positiveness in it. It's very similar to what you described. If you have the technique, if you have been shown and taught to focus on how to, then you can defeat somebody that is stronger than you or older than you or has been there for longer, right? I see the same when you and I, we go to a meeting or something where we will have a discussion, we come equipped because we have been taught to prepare and we like it, and we work it out in a way that will enable not our success truly, but just the company or the point to be achieved at the end. Quite a parallel.
Agree.
Okay. Discipline is necessary when you do train in a martial art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think discipline is not necessary only in martial arts. I think it's necessary in every single thing we do in life, up to a certain point. I think discipline does not or should not be here all the time, but I think it's essential in many aspects of what we do.
Okay.
Either in business or either in personal activities. I would say even within the family environment, like the way you want to raise your kid, etc. I think discipline teach you to sometimes have routine, make things better for a certain reason. So yeah, discipline is really key in general. If you look at discipline in sport in general, I think this is people with discipline that will come up, with what we always hear this online nowadays you go on YouTube, you go on Instagram, you always have those big speech, etc. But I think a lot of them are true. Like consistency is very key, and I see it in a lot of sports I've been doing. I was telling you I also did long rifle shooting, and long rifle shooting is a sport where you are alone. So I was doing, this 22 millimeter caliber. It's not big ammo, it's kind of small. So at a very young age, this is what they give you to shoot, and this is what is being also used at the Olympic Games in some categories of shooting. And the one I was doing was the one where you lay down on the floor, and you had 50 meters distance away from the target. But the center of the target, which is black, is I think it's maybe 10 centimeters or slightly more than that. So when it's 50 meters away, it looks like a very, very small dot. And so when you lay down on the floor and you do this without...
is it no scope?
No scope, nothing. Yeah, no scope. And so this sport teach you to have, like a routine of things, like the way you lay down, the way you're gonna hold the rifle, the angle of your elbow, the cheek pressure you're gonna have, on the rifle, the way you're gonna breathe in, breathe out.
Okay.
How do you hold your breath? At which stage do you think and squeeze the trigger. So all of that is just practice. And I remember sometime going on Sunday morning, I think it was 7 or 8 a.m. and I would go to the range. There was no one there, and I would spend like 2-3 hours just laying on the floor and shooting like hundreds of ammo one by one, and just looking at your result, shooting again, looking at your result, shooting again, etc., etc. And that's how you get better. That's really how you get better. Like I was learning, you know, how to have that discipline of just every single Sunday to repeat, just to get better, because I wanted to achieve something, you know. And at that time, I was also trying to compete.
Mm-hmm.
I did few competitions in shooting that went well, but then I had to stop. I had to stop like few sports because I had the main sport in my life that I was practicing, and yeah, you make the gesture like this. Yeah,
The rugby.
I play rugby. Yeah,
Okay.
so I started rugby also when I was super young. I think I was below 10 years old. It was really a childhood sport for me, and to me, rugby is a non-negotiable sport that I would like to practice. I mean, it's really for me the best sport that I have been practicing or even watching in my entire life. I'm really in love with what goes around rugby and on the pitch and off the pitch.
Okay.
And it's really a sport I admire, and I know that sport brought me a lot also in who I am today.
Okay.
It's really I'm sure you know rugby also, right? Like
Just a bit.
French people.
I was about to ask, which one do you prefer? The rugby 7? Rugby?
No, so the sport I play is
Stotch?
it's a rugby. No, it's a 15 players game.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a standard rugby that we play in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
I also play 7s, 10s, etc. because at the end of the season, you always have those tournaments that are organized where you just go have fun with the lads and you play. But the main one that I constantly played over the years is 15s.
Okay.
15 scenes.
What position do you play?
I started as a center and fullback at a young age. Of course, the first year I was a wing because you always start at the wing. The wing position is a very special position. It's either you put the beginners, either you put the really, really, really good players who knows how to navigate, you know, the pitch and can be there. But then no, I was playing center, outside center.
Mm-hmm.
So we have two center when you play rugby, like inside, outside. So number 13 for those who know. Playing fullback also, 15. But then I shifted to one day we needed a scrum half. So scrum half is the shortest guy on the pitch. He's the guy who is between the forwards and the back line. He's the one really making the transition. And one day I stepped into that role and I just started to love it. Like, you know, being closer to the fight because you are next to the forwards. So those big guys that constantly fight for the ball, constantly fight, you know, for the scrum, for the rucks. And yeah, it was a position that I felt the best on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And over the last few years, since I arrived in China, I've been playing this position for quite a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were self-disciplined. You went to shooting range on Sundays by yourself.
Yeah.
Shooting ammos. You definitely have a view of what role you like to play on a rugby field.
Mm.
Are you born like that, or have you been shaped like that, or both?
No, I think you are shaped like that. I think when you're born, I mean, there are, I don't want to enter that debate about, you know, like what parents should do or not do, for example, during pregnancy, etc., etc. But sure. I mean, I know there are a lot of talks around this, but I do feel that my parents and the way I received education is what shaped kid the most, especially at a very young age. So yeah, doing good things. If you do good things, I mean, if you do things, you don't want to just do them. You want to do them like perfectly. I think this would come from my dad. The artistic side would be more on my mom's side.
Okay.
But yeah, I know today things I do, I can relate to how my parents are and how they have been over the last 30 plus 5 years. So yeah, I think you are being shaped in this way. But then of course, your parents give you opportunities because when you are 5-10 years old, it's your parents, who bring you to sport, etc. So yeah, every Sunday when my dad was bringing me to the dojo to practice judo when I was 6 years old, bringing me on Wednesday also to do other sports, just to discover yourself, and then one day started to practice this rugby session for the first time when I was very young and fell in love. I had this fight with my mom, I remember, where just wanted to play rugby and she was like, no, you're gonna do judo, you've been doing judo for many years, you are good at it. So yeah, the parents are the one who put you in certain direction, and once you are old enough to try to take a decision, you try to go on your own, which I was trying to do by asking and begging to go to play rugby. I think she was just worried that I get injured. It was nothing against rugby itself. It's just she loved to see me like fighting, doing judo, because she thought it was, she still thinks it's a beautiful sport. But at some point, yeah, you want also to express yourself and find your own path, and rugby for me was my own decision.
It's very interesting because there's a lot of things that I would like to talk about on similarities and differences, but it's very interesting that the way you started to define your own self was not by rejecting your parents or opposing your parents, which a lot of kids do, but by choosing one element that you felt strong about, but it was very similar in a way, right? I'm not saying judo and rugby are the same things, but those are activities that you can practice and develop yourself. So you did not oppose, you started to branch in sort of a parallel. It's quite interesting. My own experience is very funny that you started with judo when you were 5. I tried judo when I was 6. The reason for which I was mentioning the getting against all the guys in 2-3 years making a difference at that age is because the first time you try judo, you have no technique. So I got to try, I got to be pushed against the wall by an 8-year-old guy, and I was a very different kid than you, obviously. I said to my parents, there's no way I go again. So what did my parents do? My parents made me try another sport. Try the other sport. I didn't like it because I was not put the captain of the basketball team. So I switched another one. I went to gymnastics. Out of it, I said, oh no, it's only girls there. I'm not going to go. For the record, I'm born in 1991. So what I'm saying now is the words of a kid of the 90s. But see, my parents were more, maybe not say more, but they were quite liberal in a sense, right? They didn't force me into something. They didn't teach me the importance of discipline, of, as you say, consistency. They were more in this leftist May 68 spirit of the kids must sort of express himself, right? And if he doesn't like it, then he doesn't have to continue. So I agree with you that education, whichever it is, the time you spend with your parents between 0, 10, 16, those influence a lot who you're going to become. It's not 100% because there are things you develop by yourself, but it's very critical at that age.
Yeah, I agree. And what you just said is true. Like, I literally remember hearing my parents saying that when you start something, you stick to it. And you don't quit like that. I remember, like, my sister was like you.
Okay.
So we are 3 years apart. I'm born in 88. You are born in 91. We are not that far, My sister is born in 91. And she was the opposite of me in that part, She was bouncing from one sport to another. She, of course, started judo with me when she was reaching think she even started younger than me. Like she just wanted to be with me. That's the thing. She didn't do judo for the same reasons. She just wanted to do the same activities as the big brother. And it was very funny because when she was actually doing judo during those years, I remember changing my mindset also and the reasons why I was there and how I was fighting, because I was very often at the end, you know, of the practice with her when we had that fight practice.
Sparring.
And every time I was kind of, you know, moving her legs, especially when you're on the floor, you need to do certain position and stuff.
Okay.
And I was kind of moving her leg or arms just to make sure she was in the right position to show to the master that she was kind of like putting the effort to learn things, but I think it was not a sport for her. She just wanted to be here to be with me. And so to come back on what you just said, I remember my parents pushing me to do more and more on the same thing and stick to that, you know, because sometimes you need to spend enough time, you know, to create that routine and become better at certain things. And then you start also enjoying it. But my sister wanted to do different things. Like I think every year she was coming with a new sport idea. Sometimes she started a sport in September, and then in January she would want to change, you know. And because my parents already paid for the whole year, they were like, no, you're gonna do this sport until the end of the year. So yeah, I can feel actually that, what you just said is really true. Like parents asking you to stick to something or being more liberal and being fine. You know, it's supposed to be a hobby. You're supposed to have fun. You want to do this, switch to that. And for sure, this on the long run has an impact on how you do things and see things also.
Yeah, definitely. Prove that DNA and even environment are not defining factors. It contributes to, but look, different results.
True.
I had the same with my cousin. He's 9 months or 11 months younger than me, so almost a year. And he has been raised by stricter parents. Mom is a nurse, dad he's the dean of university in Marseille, economy. And very strict, you know, do extra homework, go to those lessons, etc. The kid, my cousin, ended up to be a drummer, a musician.
Okay.
Playing in bands from he's 10 years old, and then bands, and now, you know, he's full-time artist living in Belgium, I think, you know. So he took it that way, also as sort of a reaction, opposite, right? And for me, who have been raised by more laxist, more allowing parents, I actually ended up to be the corporate guy in a way, leaning on the right side of the spectrum, and more the faithful one. So there's no recipe. My sister is actually the opposite of me. My sister did not perform at school. She didn't like it, and she's a good singer, and she's many things, and you know. So yeah, I always wonder on how did we end up here, and what contributed. I think there are nexus points. There are moments in life where you meet someone, or to have a conversation, or to see someone doing something, transforms, you know, puts you in another branch of the multiverse of possibilities.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think on what you just said, for example, I see myself. I like to sometimes remember about who in life, you know, has been shaping me, or who has been, as you say, like put you on another track that bring you somewhere else. You know, like you are reaching away from the current track you are on. I have a few guys like that in mind that are really, that brought me that.
Sure. Would you mind to share?
Yeah, for sure. So I have a guy who is more like a personal mentor, like a guy who I talk to quite often now, still nowadays. But I was welcome in an American family, a friend of my dad that they randomly met during the Monte Carlo race when they were 20 plus something. I heard it was crazy story. I didn't have the whole story, but I heard it was good things that they were doing together.
One day,
American guy who was studying French in the south of France. My dad was sitting next to him. they ended up becoming very, very good friends. Kind of lost track, and contact at that time because, internet was not existing. It was harder to stay in touch. But they kind of managed from time to time to talk to each other. And the guy speaking French, it was easier for my dad also to communicate. He became a French teacher in the US. Anyway, so fast forward, like they were still in touch, and at 15 years old, I was really bad in English. Like language was the last thing I wanted to study, and I needed to do something about that. So I remember one day coming back home and being frustrated about just being bad in this. And I said to my parents, I say, okay, I need to go abroad. And I was on my first year of high school, so I was like 15 years old. And I remember coming, I think it was January or February, beginning of the year, and I said to my parents, like, I literally suck in English. I need to do something about it. And so my dad contacted his friend, Gordon, huge American guy, like almost 2 meters, like super strong. And the guy said, yes, no problem. Like, this summer you come to my place, I'll take care of you. And 6 months later, I was in the US, in California, not too far from Sacramento. Living the American life as a 15 years old kid who doesn't speak any English. And that guy has been taking care of me for 3 months, like his own child. His own kid was studying already away from the home, so he was not there anymore. So I lived with them for 3 months and took care of me. And he was like a big uncle. I call him uncle today anyway. It's like he's really like a real uncle to me. And since that time, we keep talking to each other. He taught me thing at that time when I was alone, so far away from the house, that I will always keep with me. That also shaped me in a way. But it's true that today also, when I'm a bit lost or confused about like life decisions, I always have a text to him and a WhatsApp or sometimes a call where we just catch up. And he's always good at just showing you the side of the spectrum that you're not looking at, just to give you perspectives. So that guy has been a huge impact on my life. Like, of course, I came back after 3 months. I was fluent in English, also thanks to him and his effort. And for the story, I went back a second time the next year.
Okay.
So it was something that I really, really enjoyed. But yeah, and even today is like, I think I talked to him last week or 2 weeks ago about things I'm doing right now. And that guy is someone that I will always talk to. So that's for the personal. Career-wise, it's very funny. I have 2 guys who come to my mind very quickly. One of them is not the kind of guy that I talk to a lot. It's a bit the opposite, actually.
Okay.
He's very famous in the shipping industry. He's more like an icon. Mr. Salem, maybe. You know him,
sure.
I guess. That guy is it's a very special person. Like, a lot of people know him and they will understand what I'm saying right now. But I was lucky enough to have my dad being friend with him.
Okay.
So they know each other, and Mr. Salem always followed, how the family is, like always asking my dad the same question, like, how are your kids and what are you up to? Like super nice questions. So my dad was always, JB is going to business school, he's doing this, doing that, doing finance, etc. And okay, And sometimes I was just like sending him news about what I'm doing as a student. Never received any answers, of message, but I know he was reading. After looking after, I know he was reading. And so one day he took time to meet me in Singapore, actually.
Okay.
So I was studying in Singapore. My last year of my student life was here. And I knew through my dad one day that he was for a business trip here in Singapore. And I just texted him and said, okay, if you have time, I would like to catch up with you. The guy gave me like 15 minutes of his time. knowing that actually he was on a very short business trip here in Singapore. And yeah, I mean, he took his time to meet me. I was super young. I was 20, I mean, super young. I was 24, 25 years old, but no, no career,
Yes.
no job experience. And that guy was at the top of his company, even at the top of the industry, I would say. And he take that 15 minutes, 20 minutes time where we meet in the lobby of his hotel, drink whiskey, and then just chit chat about, okay, what's your next step? What do you want to do, etc. So at the time I was doing finance, and I wanted to go in a merger and acquisitions bank, investment bank, doing those big jobs where you make money and you think you are successful. But he said, oh, okay, when you're done, just if you need something, just let me know. And we kind of left like that. And when I finished studying after doing that last internship where I did merger and acquisition in an investment bank in France, in Paris, I didn't know what to do. The only thing I knew that I wanted to do at that time, that I wanted to live abroad. I wanted to work abroad, especially in China. And so I started to do like those kind of research, like any kind of French guys are doing, like, okay, do I have like a VIE, VIE? So VIE is like a
Overseas assignment
for young people below 28 years old, etc. So those are the easiest way, right, to find something abroad. So do those things, but don't find what I want, never in the location I want, not in China. China was really hard at the time to go in. They were always asking for Chinese speakers, like being fluent, having 3 years, 4 years experience all the time. So the barrier to go in China was really hard in business. And then one day I just sent a mail to Mr. Salem, and I think within 24 hours, I had a feedback. Like, all right, someone is going to contact you and we will organize interviews. And 1 month later, I was in Marseille. It was in January 2014. I had a full day interview in Marseille, started from 8 or 9 in the morning until 7 p.m. at night. I think I had like 9 or 10 interviews in a day. And I finished by interview from Mr. Salem and some other people in the room. I don't remember exactly who. I know the HR were here, etc. But and that guy just told me at the end of the meeting, okay, like, we have 2 positions for you. Like, we either send you to Taipei or we send you to Shenzhen. And I didn't even know where Shenzhen was on the map. I mean, I knew China. I lived in China before that, but I was like, hey, where is Shenzhen? And Shenzhen is, I knew Shenzhen was a place where you have like tons of factories,
Yeah.
And I was, God, I think I'm going to go for Taipei,
Oh.
And then I had that fraction of a second where I say to myself, okay, don't listen your emotions. And because I didn't know anything about like where would be the biggest challenge and all of that, and I wanted to look for the biggest challenge, I just literally asked him, okay, Mr. Salem, like, knowing your company better than anyone else and looking at what you guys are doing right now, where do you think should be my first assignment working for your company? And he told me, you should go to Shenzhen. This is where you'll have the best assignments and you will have a great mentor. And so I told him, okay, I'm going to Shenzhen. And within 1 day, it was just decided. And 3 months later, I was in Shenzhen.
What months did you have your interviews in 2014? Do you remember the months?
Yeah, February. I think it was February 2014. And I remember starting in CMA CGM on the 5th May 2014.
I had mine on July the 4th, 2014.
Oh, see? And so, yeah, a few months later, I was in Shenzhen and I met my second mentor.
Okay.
That became my real day-to-day mentor, because I think that's the difference between Mr. Salem and the next one, is that Mr. Salem is a mentor in a way that he's showing you the path, he's showing you how he is, he's showing you what it means to be a leader. I think anyone you will meet in the shipping industry today, and I mean anyone, that you ask him the question about how is Mr. Salem, do you know Mr. Salem? Everyone will always tell you the same.
Gentleman.
Yeah. Very human-oriented, super nice guy, very sharp. Very sharp. He knows everything in details. He remembers things. And yeah, the guy is just, he gives you an idea of how you would like to look like when you will be his age, if you want to consider yourself as successful, I think. Some people have other motivations, but when I saw him, the way he was, the leadership he had, the way people were talking about him, I was okay. I want to be one day like this guy. Maybe not in shipping, maybe not, like a top CEO like him, etc. But I want people around me to see me like this guy, like what he's bringing to people that are surrounding him. The other one is a guy I worked with for 8-9 years, also in shipping, Ludovic Renaud. Yeah. And it was a complete different approach. Like that guy is a different one from Mr. Salem. He has his own, character and but I learned a lot from him. I learned very much a lot. Like my first year was really tough because I was young, and he was demanding, and he was sharp. He liked to go into the details. And for a CEO, I think it's also something that I really admired, like being at the top, of a position, but being able to make sure you understand at the bottom what they are doing. I think this is something that is sometimes missing in major corporates. So yeah, first 2 years maybe up and downs, not easy, just graduated. Looking back, knowing him today, I already know how he might have feel when someone was put in his team like that by Mr. Salem without even asking him, So I didn't arrive in the best conditions. But slowly, I took time to do my things.
Yeah.
After a while, he realized that I was motivated. I wanted to do good things. He gave me cool assignments. Like I had to do some stuff that not many, I think, young people could do. Like I had to make some audits in some ports in China where we were not really sure about the market practices, etc. So those were my first challenges, where I had to go on my own, understand what's happening there, come back, explain, agree on a transformation plan that we would like to have. And then one day he just told me, okay, you have a month or two. I send you to this port and I would like you to transform what you have been studying. And I stayed 6 months over there, not 2 months, living in a hotel, just trying to execute what was asked. And I think it's funny because now that we had this discussion before about like the sport and the things I did, etc., I definitely see connections between the way I was doing sport, the discipline I wanted to have, and what I was trying to do during that mission. And yeah, came back from that assignment. And then it was just the start of a great relationship I had with him that we still have today. And so this guy is also I think it would be the third guy I would have in mind when it comes to shaping who I am today.
It's a bit difficult for myself to do the exercise, but I'm going to try to do it with you. When you think of those three people, what are, I don't know, the 3 to 5 qualities of a human being, a leader, but a human being before, that you have in mind? What just comes to your head? I'll give you one of mine. Caring. Today I lead a small crew of 40 people, and I lead by caring. I say to the people, I don't want to work with you if I don't have a relationship with you. I'm not asking for anything personal, but I need a bond. I need a link. If you give me trust and you tell me what's in your mind, I can take care of you. If you don't, then we are disconnected. So caring for me is the defining factor. What about you? What are the words that come to your mind?
I fully agree on the caring part. I think this is where you start building things with your teammates that brings more than just doing your day-to-day job. Caring means people are gonna start taking ownerships of their job because they want to make sure they help you in what you are trying to achieve. They want to support you, etc. So caring is the first thing. I would say listen. Listen. I think listening is something that we tend to not do enough, especially the higher you go in a hierarchy, and the less, I would say, people tend to listen. They come, with their years of experience and opinion already shaped in a certain way, and they say, "Oh no, I think this is what you should do," and blah blah blah. So I think listening. You see, for example, listening is something that I can see that my uncle in the US and Mr. Salem, they are really mastering this listening, taking time to really listen people and talk at the end, like express their opinion at the end. But first, okay, what's your message? What you're trying to say? Not cutting you every 1 or 2 minutes as soon as you are trying to explain yourself, like they really let you speak and then speak at the end. So listening.
Okay. I like that. All right. You talked a bit about how finally you end up in China with Mr. Salem, the assignment, meeting Ludovic, and starting to grow there. Talk to me about where does that passion or interest for China comes from? You were a US boy. You went to the US when you were a teenager.
Yeah.
One could have thought that what you want is to drive a Mustang, and
I did drove a Mustang
sure
in the
you
US. I did this very cliche trip with one of my best friends. We went to watch an eclipse in the west, in Nevada.
Yeah.
And I think we drove like, I don't remember. I think we drove like 3,000 or 4,000 kilometers in a week. Just driving.
Sounds like Nevada.
Mustang. Anyway, China. Why China? It's a very random thing. Very random. And I think that's why also sometimes when I think back about my life, I'm like, gosh, like the path you're going to take in your life is a succession sometime of luck, but also decisions. And that China thing is just pure luck. I was in the last year of middle school, and we had this Chinese guy who arrived in our school. I don't really know the story about him, like why he was in France and stuff like that, but he was not from France. He was really coming from China.
Mainland.
And the guy arrived in France. He was put in this foyer, this child house. So below 16 years old in France, you must go to a school. So you must receive education. So the school, the house where he was staying, put him in my middle school. And he ended up in my class, sitting next to me during many classes for a very long period of time during the whole year. And so you start sitting next to that guy who doesn't speak French, doesn't speak English, only speak Chinese and write Chinese. And at that age, you like to chit chat with your classmate on the side, right? On your desk. So always sitting 2 by 2. So most of the time, the guy sitting next to you becomes your best friend, right? And so that guy is like, we had no communication, nothing. But I remember that, I think what marks me that I remember him trying to learn French by himself and constantly writing Chinese characters and French words in front of it, etc. And I remember at some point that we kind of started to exchange in a way where he was teaching me how to write from 1 to 10. Or I am French, I love you, those very basic things. Sure. And I just started to love writing Chinese characters.
Okay.
And that's how I started. I just started like being interested about Chinese just because that guy was sitting next to me. Finished middle school, arrived in high school, where we were lucky enough to have the option to do a third language option. It was either Russian, either Chinese. So I went for Chinese. I was like, gosh, I already know how to count. I think I should do that. So I went to the Chinese class and I started to study Chinese in high school for 3 years. And at that time, studying Chinese in high school was every single year you learn the same thing. So you don't learn anything. You just learn the very basic stuff. But anyway, I was doing Chinese a little bit and at least trying to learn. And finished high school, went to a French business school where the main topic I discussed during my selection process was that I was studying Chinese, and they were, oh, we have, this university in Beijing where if you wish to, you can do an exchange program during your second year. And I was like, all right, guys, like I start to know in which direction I would like to go. Went to that school, registered for the university. And by the way, the registration process was the way I did that was also very funny, because I knew that if I say this to my parents, there was like a 80% chance that they would be, oh, you're crazy, you're not gonna go to China. So I applied without saying anything. And I remember one day I was having this internship in Barcelona at that time. So I was not even in France, but my parents received a letter at home saying, oh, congratulations, your son has been accepted to the University of International Business and Economics of blah, blah, blah. And because it was written in English on the letter, my mom received the letter and she was like, oh my God, my son has been accepted in this school. So she starts saying to my dad, oh, I think he has been accepted in England or the US, or I don't know, because it was in English.
Yes.
And so my dad comes home at night and look at the letter, and they realize that the university was in Beijing. They call me and they say, what is this? And then I was so happy because I knew I was accepted, but I had to deal with this little issue. I had to explain to them, okay, guys, in 3 months' time, I'm going to leave to China. So yeah, and I ended up in China. It was in January 2008, Olympic Games year, China. Supposed to stay 6 months. And I stayed the whole year because I did my internship that I was supposed to do after that 6 months also over there. So I had this 12 months crazy experience in China. I was 19, 20 years old because I celebrated my 20th birthday over there. And I think it was just one of the best experiences I had in my life. I was alone for a year, one-way ticket. I remember arriving in Beijing. At that time, it was much more pollution than today, of course. Gray sky. Taking the small bus with 8 other classmates from France like me, looking through the window and like, where the hell I am? What did I do? And I remember like the first weekend was a very weird experience. I was looking for ATM so I had this HSBC card because before leaving, I went to the HSBC bank. Hong Kong, Shanghai Bank Corporation. You're like, oh, that might be a Chinese bank. You arrive in Beijing, you look for HSBC ATM. There was no HSBC ATM. I ended up like walking during 4 hours in Beijing trying to find like a HSBC ATM where Chinese people were. Every time I was asking the question, first of all, they were not understanding anything. And as soon as I was showing the card, they were like, oh, you go straight. And I was always going straight, and I went straight for 4 hours until I realized that you should not listen Chinese, at least not in that way, because I realized that when people don't know in China, they always say, yeah, do this. And then because you never see them again. So yeah, that's how I ended up in China, spent a year over there, fell in love with the country, the culture. I felt in love with the dynamic on how things are happening over there.
Sure.
2008, I arrived 6 months before the Olympic Games. I left 6 months after the Olympic Games. The whole country, at least the major cities, where Olympic Games were happening, has been completely reshaped.
Yes.
At that time. And you see how fast things goes and stuff like that. And you're like, wow, it's where I am, where am I? It's a very impressive place. And I remember going back home a year after that, arriving at Charles de Gaulle Airport. Dad is picking me up at the airport, going in the car, driving back home, and looking through the window again, and like, what the hell am I doing here?
Yep.
And it was a very weird feeling because it was a reverse feeling. It was like, why I'm here? Like why am I back already? And I think I remember having, for the first time of my life, I think I had a small Not a depression, but like
Yeah.
I was not happy.
Okay.
I was not happy to be back. And so at that time, I just, again, it goes with everything we talked before, but I think at that time when I came back, I promised myself that I will look for my first job in China as soon as I graduated. And so 4 years later, I reached out to Mr. Salem.
It's interesting that you say it's your first sort of depression,
Yeah.
because there is a quote I love from Joe Rogan, actually, that says that the worst thing that happened in your life is the worst thing that happened in your life. He put that into the context that for a kid that loses his toy, to you realizing that our country is stagnating, not to say backward, to somebody living a very traumatic experience, the worst thing is the worst thing. There is no comparison to be done. It just depends on your own experience. It's very interesting that for you, this moment of, losing kind of the vitality was that.
Yeah, I think it's also linked to the fact that I spent a whole year on my own for the first time. Really. So first, you are very far away. There is, if something happened over there, you are really on your own. So you start depending really on friends, people you meet over there. And that whole experience just, helps you to, grow, and you feel you are kind of becoming a man. And I think going back at home,
Sure,
under parent supervision,
I know.
It's I mean, it was not easy. It was not easy. With perspective, and few years later, why your parents, they are happy to see you again, but they have 20 years of rules at home. So dinner at 7, you don't do this, you don't do that, you should do this. Right, it's normal. But I think at that age, which is an age where normally people really express themselves and try to look for their own path, it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to face. And I was not happy.
I had the same when I first came back from my sailing time, when I was on the boats, as a sailor. And even when you're a cadet, as an intern, you would say, for officer, you have responsibilities, and you work with the crew and you work with the officers to do things. So it's quite empowering, right? And you're alone at sea, it's just the crew, you, and the boat, right? And then you come back, and you have your mother that, as you said, tell you what to do, not to do, and treat you and saying, I'm the captain here, not you, huh? And it's at that age, it's explosive, let's say, right? Funny enough, our path, you don't realize that, but you're gonna in a second. Our paths kept crossing without crossing. My first time in China, Beijing Olympics, just after. I think I was there in February. It was my first time in China.
Which year?
Oh, you asked me
2008?
to remember 2008.
Oh,
correct?
so the same year as me?
The same year.
Gosh.
It was my first time in China. I was in high school. I was studying Chinese as a LV3.
In where? In which?
In Beijing.
In Beijing?
Yeah.
So we were at the same time?
I did Beijing, Shanghai, and Xi'an.
No way.
Yeah, same time.
How long did you stay there?
Beijing a week, Shanghai a week, a few days in Xi'an. So it was a trip.
So you had no time for those crazy things I've been going through. Okay,
I was a kid, right?
You were supervised.
I was supervised. It was a school trip,
so
right?
no Budako, no Sanlitun, no those kind of things. Okay.
But we're putting the
Well, that's
funny, man.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't know.
Same LV3. No, you didn't. Cool. Okay. Can we talk about China a bit?
Yeah, for sure.
Without committing, just, I read a bit. I've read recently a book called The Conundrum of Doing Business in China.
Okay.
Which is basically the story of a CEO from SVB, Silicon Valley Bank.
Okay.
Which was, a sort of angel investing trustee that was trying to get into the Chinese market. Took many, many years just to try to get into being able to open a subsidiary. There was a lot of constraint. Basically, it talks a lot about the guanxi.
Guanxi, yes.
So
Having relationships.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of meetings, but most direct. Yes, this one. So he described a bit all of that. So I'm a bit curious of what is your experience of doing business in China as an employee first, but also you have started your entrepreneurship path quite a year ago, right?
Yeah.
So what is your overall perception of how it is to doing business in China?
I think the first thing you need to know about China is you have to be patient.
Okay.
But not patient the way you might think.
Okay.
You were talking about it takes time to create subsidiaries, etc., etc. I think today, business-wise, process in China to do things, to set up things is not that complicated.
Mm.
There is a process, you have to wait, you have to go through, but there is no, it's predictable. You know it's going to happen. You have just to you have to tick the box and it's going to happen. But when I talk about patience, is you need to be patient about understanding people, who they really are, how they really work, and build that connection that you talked about, which is a guanxi. Guanxi it's the most important thing that I think people should know about China is that I think Chinese people are the opposite of American people in a way that Americans, you know, like you kind of meet each other and you're already best friends, you know, you are buddies, yes. Right? Chinese people takes time. It takes a lot of time to build trust. But once you have that trust and you have been patient enough to have that trust, you can do business with them in a good way. Of course, you know, like Chinese people are real businessmen. They are real businessmen. Like for them, it's all about making money. They really think about that 24/7. So you might end up in situations where, you know, you get tricked. You are not happy with the quality or whatever, but you can always find anything you are looking in China, you are looking for, you can find it. You know, people are always, it's very funny. Like people also think that China is always about cheap things, like low quality, etc. And then I say to those people, yeah, because you guys have no budget. You guys come to China thinking that you are going to save cost. Okay, you can save cost. But if you save cost, of course, the Chinese producers are not going to make like great quality. They will spend less time, less efforts on your products. But today you want to have the top-notch quality products. Where do you go? China. You don't go to India. You don't go to Vietnam, Thailand for these kind of things.
True.
So yeah, China, patience, guanxi. Two main things that you really need to learn. I think you also need to really spend time understanding the culture, like who they really are and where they really come from. It's a very old country. It's not like a 200 years old country. And you can deep down in the roots and their education. Kids are learning things at school that happened centuries ago. And they learn those things, you know, like they learn the way people were thinking, were doing things, you know, like you can really feel that you have that transmissions of knowledge over the generations, which I tend to think that in the Western countries, we kind of forgot sometimes.
Okay, so it's not learning history as we learned it, dates and events. More.
I mean, again, like here, it's gonna be a complicated topic to talk to, but learning history in China is not about learning like I mean, they are learning the Second World War, they are learning about what happened here and there, but it's also about what are the previous dynasties they have in China long time ago. Chinese people are very funny. Like they always relate things in life to a certain quote. So they always like have Chinese quotes, you know, to say about things happening in life, which I find very interesting too, because they come up, you know, with those short phrase that just like, oh yeah, that thing happening today is because in Chinese we say this and that, you know. So yeah, I think the few things you need to know about China are those things. Yes, you really need to spend time to understand like how Chinese people are thinking, their logic, but also patience and guanxi.
Okay, can you give an example of how guanxi articulates Like,
Well, it's very easy. If you have spent time to build a real guanxi,
mhm,
tomorrow you need something, you pick up your phone, you call the guy you know,
mhm,
he's
mhm,
gonna make it happen for you
mhm,
because you have the guanxi.
mhm.
Shipping, very simple example.
Yeah.
You want something to move in China, you are stuck with your container, you are stuck with your truck, you don't have containers.
Yep.
You call someone, it happens. That's guanxi.
Mhm. That's quite the positive side of Guanxi.
Mm.
What about the negative side of Guanxi? How can Guanxi hinder your ability to make business?
Well, then it means that in a way you can come up with the best idea in the world or the best product in the world or the best service in the world. If the guy doesn't know you then and he doesn't trust you, it might be more complicated that if you go, for example, in another country
Mm.
and they will just purely look at your products. Not having the guanxi means also that potentially you could get tricked
Mhm.
by the guy and he might easily try to copy what you're doing because you don't know him. I'm not saying that even if you have the guanxi, you might not be copied.
Sure.
But I'm just saying about that. So yeah, so I think you need that connection.
Mm.
In China, it's all about, okay, I have this problem. Who do I know? And then how do I process? That's the way, I think that's the most efficient way to do things.
Okay. Is there one China as per se, or is there still regional differences in how people behave and operate? What would you say?
I don't like the word one China.
Of
your
course,
your question
concept.
is very
Sorry.
sensitive. Well, how to say? There is one for sure mainland China.
Yeah.
Okay. There is one system.
Sure.
Chinese are very nationalist. They love their country and you
Mhm.
can really feel it. But of course, you have different regions, different origins, different traditions. And I would like to say at the end of the day, yeah, it's the same everywhere. You know, do you have one United States of America? I don't think so. So no, China is not just one China. It's one China in the system as a political party.
Mm.
They have one big direction, which is like framed by the bureau.
Sure.
And the top. But then you have Shanghai, you have Shenzhen, you have North Beijing, you have Central China with Sichuan, Chongqing, Chengdu, which are different from the coast. You have the west part of China, all this Xinjiang area next
Sure.
to the East European countries, which is also another way of doing things.
Mm.
So you need to navigate through that. People in Shenzhen, for example, and people in Shanghai, which are the two cities I know the most, are very different. Like Shenzhen was few thousand people were living in Shenzhen 40 years ago.
Okay.
And if you go online, you wouldn't believe what you will see. In 1970, Shenzhen was it was a fisher village.
Okay.
So you had fishermen and you had people that were just like countryside people.
Mm-hmm.
It was nothing.
Mm.
It was north of Hong Kong.
Mm.
And Deng Xiaoping came in.
Mm.
We need to open China. Where do we open China? Closest city to Hong Kong, Shenzhen. And Shenzhen become what it is today because they decided to open China through Shenzhen at that time. Today, Shenzhen is like 20. So numbers are always different depending on where you look at. But I would say it's between 16 to 20 million people.
Okay.
It's a huge city.
Impressive.
And this thing happened over the last 40, 50 years, right? So all the people that are living in Shenzhen today are not from Shenzhen.
Mm.
At least the first generation is not from Shenzhen. People came in, and people came in for what? Came in for business because they had ambition. They wanted to do things. So the mindset that you have in Shenzhen is very all about hardworking people, ambition. I want to make money. I want to succeed. I want to get out
Sure.
of maybe the rural area. A lot of people come from tier 2, tier 3 cities,
Mm-hmm.
come in Shenzhen for business opportunities.
It's quite different from Shanghai, right?
And Shanghai,
You have
exactly,
the
that's what I was about to
Shanghainese
say.
is-
Shanghai is a bit like Guangzhou also. Those are very old cities. You know, this is where we had the comptoir.
Yep.
With Western countries coming in and settling
about
down.
that. Mhm.
Sorry?
Sorry about that.
Yeah,
The
sorry
comptoir.
about that.
Yeah.
But that's
No,
where the French people were. That's
Sure.
where other countries came, right?
Yeah.
And so you can find in Shanghai it's all money people,
Mm.
like Shanghainese and Guangzhouan, like people from Guangzhou are very local people. If you are not from Shanghai, you know, you are not integrated the same as if you are from Shanghai and living in Shanghai. So yeah, you see those differences. Like even among Chinese people, you have barriers, you know, on how you can go and live somewhere or not live somewhere. I think access to jobs, access to education. You know, in China, for example, you have like an ID card where you are supposed to live.
Mhm.
It's called the hukou. And on that ID card, so the ID card of your kid mentioned where your kid is supposed to study, right?
Okay.
If you are from Shenzhen, you're supposed to study in Shenzhen, etc. If you move to another city, you are supposed to change that ID card to get access to public schools. So in a way, they are kind of preventing, you know, people to move around in China.
Mhm.
And that's also one big problem that we were facing when I was working in big companies, is that if you want to move people from Shenzhen to Shanghai, it's really hard to move the family actually. So you can move someone easily, one person, because he can easily come to another city, you pay the apartment, blah, blah, blah. You have like a package for that. But moving the kids for them to then go to the school where you are moving that person is really hard, depending on the city. Shenzhen easily accept people because they wanted to attract people, right? So they easily give that ID card for you to come with your family. But some cities like Shanghai really put restrictions, because if not, they would end up with hundreds of millions of people that would like to come to Shanghai.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And it's very enlightening because there are sometimes a wish from management that, you know, you make the people switch within ports, within region, in operations, right, or even shipping. It helps to understand now why there is such a reluctance to do that.
It's really hard. For families themselves, like moving one person again is easy. And I know today many Chinese businessmen who decide to go work in another city but leave their family behind.
Yeah.
This is one of the main reasons.
Okay. You mentioned how people have a perception that China create cheap stuff, which obviously is not true. I think
they do create cheap stuff
also,
but
the manufacturing base of China along the 10, 15 last years have also shifted considerably. China used to be mostly about creating toys, cheap stuff, etc., and has transformed today to be the most technologically advanced, high quality, creating anything from solar panel, EV, whatever you can think of. Neon signs, they are doing very, very, very good neon signs now. I mean, everything. So you have now a broad spectrum of what you can get from China. That's changed. And now I think, did you hear about dark factories?
Yeah.
So can you talk about dark factories?
Dark factories is I think I think today China sees dark factory as a necessity.
Okay.
Okay, people might think, okay, dark factory. So what's a dark factory? Dark factory is it's automated factory where everything is so automated inside that because it's robot, you don't even need light inside. So we call that dark factories. So no human beings. Automation in China is a must. And it's a must. Why? Because the population is shrinking. So I think since 2020 or 2021, something like this, China population like reached a peak, 1.4, 1.5 billion.
Allegedly.
Yeah. and technically today, officially, India is now the most populated country in the world, in front of China. But at that time, China was. And since 21, China population is going down. I don't have the numbers in mind, but I think in 2050, it will be 1.2, 1.3. So it will already be like 200 to 300 let's say, 250 million people less, which is massive in the next 25 years. But I think what's come after that is even scarier. Do you know how many Chinese people will be in China? And again, it's a rough calculation, but in 2,100 years.
No.
I mean in 2100.
Well, I guess I would say 800 million.
Yeah, below that.
Oh.
Today, the medium calculation that come from different organizations will be that China should be between 650 to 750 million people at that time.
All right.
So in the next 75 years, it's gonna be shrinking by twice what we have today. So the first part, the next 25 years, is gonna be okay, like let's say 200 million people. But the next 50 years is gonna be a huge drop in population. And what's scary also is that we are just looking at the total numbers of people in the country, right? But then when you start looking a bit more into the details, I think you will have 40% of the population above 60 years old in 2050. 40%. Okay? 4 people out of 10. More than 60 years old. When life expectancy is, 72, 75 years old? So a big chunk of the population will be on that period of life where you are supposed to be retired.
Sure.
Not supposed to work anymore.
Less productive, yeah.
You are supposed to receive like
pension,
all of those things, that government is supposed to pay. So today, China is pushing for automation also, mostly because of that. And yes, so we see in the news disconnection, between what the people are. The people today are doing like manual work replaced by machines. What are those people gonna do, etc. It's a big problem today. But China is doing something that I think not many countries are doing, is that they are so much ahead, in the game of what's gonna happen, that they are anticipating what's gonna happen in 50 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years. And I think that's also one of the big difference between the way we do things in Western countries, where we look at a 4 years, 5 years window. And China is no. China, we have like a 50 years plan. And within my 50 years plan, I have blocks of 5 years plan. And then I have a block of 1 year plan. Dark Factory is part of a really long-term plan. I think the question is how China is going to have the economy running in the next 50 years if population has just decreased by half of what we have today. So that's a major issue.
That's big. All right. Let's switch to something quite core to what I would like to discuss. I want to also get an opportunity to discuss the jobs that you have been doing, because we have an industry where there are so many jobs, functions, type of things you can be doing, right? So I want to get people to have a chance to explore or understand and maybe get interested into the jobs. So, we have had journalists, we have had purchaser, we have had operational people. You were born into the finance, you switched to commercial a bit later, and now you go entrepreneur. So let's go step by step.
Yeah.
Okay. So finance, can I say cost control? Is the bad word?
Yeah, you can say it depends which country you are, but yeah, cost control is a good word.
Okay, good.
Cost control, and what comes naturally normally behind that, revenue control.
Good.
Should come together.
Okay, so what qualities do someone need to have to excel in cost control?
Curious.
Okay.
You need to be curious.
Okay.
So people think, and it's very funny because you start by saying finance,
Sure.
Sometimes I don't think cost control is all about finance.
So operational?
Well, we can debate. But cost control starts with numbers, for sure. So raw extractions, what are my numbers? How do you read? How do you interpret your numbers? But then the most important job in cost control is what do you do with those numbers, right?
Yes.
And that's where actually you start doing things. And actually that's how we met. So, yeah. What do you do with those numbers? Like you see that your stevedoring costs, so your operational costs are going up or going down. What are the reasons behind? And once you start being curious about it and asking the right questions to the right people, you start digging out processes, who is doing what, which tools are being used, and then you end up with a good picture of what's happening, why my unit cost is going up, is going down. Is it good or bad? Do we want to change it? Do we want to be cheap? Do we want to keep quality? Do we want to do all those things? So cost control is not only about just purely doing finance, accounting. I think people have the wrong impression of what cost control is. And I think why I loved my job is because I learned how shipping company and agency in the shipping industry is running. Thanks to that, you start from the numbers, you go to the process, you go to the people, you understand how they work, you see where are the problems, the bottlenecks, etc., and you change it. I mean, at least you come up with a plan, you ask for approval, and then you change it.
Okay. What are the limits of a cost controller?
Well,
as
not
as
being
a function, as a job, right? As a discipline.
I think the limit of a cost controller is that sometimes it is not linked enough with the reality of the business.
Okay.
And I think that's something I really appreciated. At least I discovered and took time to really understand when I switched to the commercial job. But yeah, I think as a cost controller, you sometimes don't think enough about things which is the most important, which is, okay, where do I create value for my client? You know, cost control is all about how do I optimize my cost.
Yeah.
And when you are not thinking at the same time, how is the value for my client, it's really hard actually to put the threshold of where should be my costs, expenses, right?
Yeah.
So I think the limit of cost control is to not have that commercial experience where you think also about, wait, my company is here to serve to serve a client, to deliver a service. If I pay 10% less here, can I maintain, the quality of the service? That's the limit.
I agree. I concur to that. It's the pit you can fall very easily when you are operational or cost controller. Is you only think about cost. A cost is a symptom. It's not a cause. You need to enable. What I teach now, what I build the teams around, is you're here to enable sensibly. So you're here to spend money. There's no doubt about that. You're not here to omit a port to save a port cost. You're not here to slow down and have a ship running 8 knots and not cooling ports. You're here to make it happen sensibly. So if you don't have this view of revenue and quality of service also, sure, then you're going to be narrow-minded. You're going to hit a limit of understanding and of usefulness to the company, but also for personal growth. Okay, so from cost control to chief commercial officer, same question. What qualities do you need to be a commercial?
In shipping.
In shipping.
A commercial in shipping.
In shipping.
Why I say in shipping is because being a commercial in shipping is shipping is driven by supply and demand, right? So a lot.
I think less and less
on the commercial perspective.
Okay.
On the commercial perspective.
Yeah.
Your rate. I'm talking about the rate.
Yeah. Okay.
So the main thing that commercial teams are negotiating with clients is number one thing is the rate, right?
Yeah.
Of course, now, especially since COVID, reliability, service delivery, those are all topics also that come on top. And I tend to believe that to be a good commercial in the shipping industry, you need to be very flexible, adapt very quickly to the needs of your clients, and provide the best solution on time at that specific time. And it's very important that I'm talking about that specific time, because it might not be the best way of doing things, but with all the constraints we have today in the supply chain and the logistic world, it's all about, can I do better than my competition during that period window?
Very true.
I think that's so availability for the clients, being here all the time. I think when I was in commercial, I realized it's a job where you never sleep. You have requests. I mean, shipping is like, it's a global industry, right?
Mhm.
So when a client in the US, in Europe needs something, it's might be midnight in China, right?
Sure.
And China being the starting point for a lot of things going around the globe, well, you need to be constantly available. So yeah, I think as a commercial, you need to be available and you need to come up with a quick fix.
It's funny because I'm not putting words in your mouth, but you talked about flexibility and about finding the right solution at the right moment for the customer. This requires creativity.
Yeah.
And something I love to discuss is we spend almost an hour discussing about discipline, about consistency, about making it happen regularly, improving, being dedicated to. Finally, the summum, you could say, of your corporate career, you the first words that come almost is flexibility, make it happen, creativity. So I often ask the question: is discipline a creativity killer or necessary evil?
I think it's complementary.
Okay, how?
Well, even actually, we didn't talk too much about it on the cost control part, but
Sure.
I do believe that once you have found all our problems, etc., like how do you fix those problems requires creativity. So depending on the position you are on, like if you work on long-term projects, creativity can come in a way where you are not being rushed, you are not being pushed by deadlines, for example. While if you are on the commercial front, you need to come up with a quick solution quickly, like instantly, like in the next few hours or next few days. So creativity is key in all those functions in terms of being able to adapt, being able to adjust, come with new ideas, new process, optimize solution for clients. But then the discipline comes just after that, because I don't think that you will implement your idea, your creative ideas in the best way if you are not disciplined.
I get you.
And I think that's where, to me, it becomes complementary, because you could be the best and most creative guy in the world. If you don't have the discipline to make sure that it's going to be strictly implemented the way we said it, it's not going to work as well or as much as what we would expect. So both needs to work together.
Yeah.
And then maybe in that sense, we should rethink about, should we have creative guys and disciplined guys working together? It's which are two different kind of people in the company or in the spectrum of skills, but it's always interesting to have complementary people, right, working together. So yeah, I do think that's a match.
Yeah. So the question I asked in a previous episode is, what type of profile do you think we need more in shipping? And I think you answered by saying,
yes,
you need to stop to have those, kind of dominant control freaks. And maybe we need some of that, but also need some more creative and people that come with maybe another industry also background, and kind of how do you call that? Be complementary to people like us who have been there, and learning the job from the ground.
Yeah. I feel that shipping industry is it's a very top-down industry.
Yeah.
It's an industry where instructions come from the top, and then it's all about execution. Trying to execute, of course, the exact requests that come from the top.
That is always clear, obviously.
That is always clear. And the big problem today in shipping industry is that we don't have enough people who works on making sure that quality is here. So let me rephrase. When I talk about quality, I talk about quality of process, quality of data that helps you to take decisions.
Yes.
Timing, all those things. So that's what we miss.
Yep.
And today we end up in a situation where human beings, a very small group of human beings sitting at the top of companies, are taking decisions based on their past experiences.
Sure.
That might be 10 years, 40 years, whatever. That's might be disconnected with the reality of what it is today, because world is moving fast, changing fast, etc. So yeah, that's I think to me that's the main
Yeah, I do see the same.
the biggest issue that needs to be changed in shipping. It's you need to start to have more process oriented people coming in. I think another problem is too many people are working on the day-to-day operational thing, because this is what shipping is. So people start their days like dealing with daily operational problems.
Yep.
And as long as you don't have those teams that are just focusing on long-term project, long-term visions, but also know the day-to-day, and that's a complicated part.
That's
actually, is to have those project people that know the ground business.
Yeah.
It's really complicated to improve processes, to improve systems, improve again data quality, all those things. So to me, that should be the starting point.
Yeah, I see the same actually, and it means that shipping is not ready for automation. Shipping is not, to me, ready for what they call AI. It's because it's the basics are missing. I mean, the only thing that can get my mood to go down, honestly, in my current position, is the data landscape. I swear to you, all the rest I can take. Bad decisions, difficulties, typhoons. I can deal with all of that. Each time I'm digging into the data, I'm losing my smile.
Yeah, I mean it's
common.
It's I agree with you.
Across.
I mean I have the same problem, but again it can be explained with many things. Shipping is an industry where tons of variables always come on the table at any point of time. And those variables always change the decision that must be taken, right? As of today, shipping is not set up in a way where AI can be optimized and used fully for any kind of things. It can be used for basic stuff.
Agree.
It can be used for very basic forecasting. It can be used for very binary tasks where it's like 0 or 1, things like in shared service centers, very basic. But when it comes to strategic decisions, the issue is that we have so many things happening on the day-to-day job that might impact the way AI should interpret, the answer. That as long as this whole ecosystem and this whole set of information is not integrated into the system, into the AI system, I think the final conclusion or the final scenarios that AI tool will provide to human beings will be always wrong.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is that if you start with inaccurate data, not completed data, and you feed an AI with that, you even fasten the mistakes that people are gonna do. So without AI, you still have time to realize, oh, we have a problem here, we have a problem there. That's not the right scenario. We need to adjust, etc., etc. When you start feeding a machine that tells you exactly what to do, but you don't feed the right information to the machine, the quality of the output equals the quality of the inputs, right?
Yep.
So that's the issue here. That's the issue. So AI today, no. At least for the very strategic decisions.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think one day we should be able to reach that. But it's a very long term. It's a long term journey.
It is. Okay. If you had to do it all over again, where would you start? So still shipping, but where would you start?
Well, the thing is, my decisions have never been like planned. A lot of decisions have not been planned. Like a lot of things decisions have been decided based on instinct, feelings, stuff like that. And as soon as I have a view or an opinion, I just make it happen. So frankly speaking, I don't think I would change many things because I don't regret any decisions I made so far. Even the toughest ones, if you take time, to let them think and go through it, and after a while you understand why you take that decision. So I don't regret that. Maybe it's just about like I would have preferred to take some decision faster, like ahead of what I did. That may be the only thing I would change, like being more aware of that's what you're gonna face when you're gonna reach that position. This is the kind of pressure you're gonna receive. Being more trained, I tend to believe that what we learn in school is so much disconnected from what you face as soon as you arrive in a company. And when I say school, I'm talking about the schools I have been to, which are French schools mostly. So yeah, I wish we could have had more knowledge about how to, like master those things and go through the day-to-day of companies, issues that you can face, etc. So
I wish they would have told us how to fill a tax form. That would have been useful.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you think that, again, if you had done all over again, and more or less the same you said, you would still have ended up to this entrepreneurship path or not?
Yes, I think definitely. Like I always wanted to do entrepreneurship, or at least I always had that entrepreneurship spirit, of trying things, coming with ideas, etc. But as I said earlier, it's very funny. You can be the most creative guy around the table if you don't have the discipline to implement it. And on top of the discipline, if you are not at the right time in your life to also implement it, I don't think this is gonna work. Like I started my own entrepreneurship journey like a year ago. And it's not about money, it's not about connections, etc. Because I stopped working for corporate 2 years ago. And I took a gap year after that, like where I just traveled, connected back with friends, families, just took care of myself, and qualitative times. I could have 2 years ago at that time, just after working in big corporate, started, right? But I didn't know where to start, how to start, what to do, etc. Right? And so I needed time, to think about, okay, what do I want to do? Where do I start, etc. And the funny part is, last summer I was a bit sick in August, not able to go to the gym, train, do my routine stuff. So kind of forced to stay home for several days, and I started to get bored. So just went back on LinkedIn, chit chat with friends. What you doing? What are you up to? Like this kind of small talk. Having a call with some friends and guys I know in Paris who were launching a gym. And they were like, okay, like that's our new idea. We need this. We need that. And can you help us? I say, yeah, I have time. So within a few days, we just started to chit chat. They asked me to produce some stuff in China. Literally no experience in production, but I know China. I know how to navigate. I know how to look for the right information, the right things. Made it happen. And slowly, I got back into that business mood of, okay, I want to do things. I want to get organized. I want to create this and that. And I like fitness. I also have those past experiences in shipping. What do I do with all of that? So started to chit chat with people. Ended up like having a discussion with a friend of mine who needed help in the company he was working in. Told me, JB, if you are keen, can you come with us? Come as a consultant. And then just started the consulting business and working for them in shipping, fixing problems, looking at what they would like to be, where they would like to be in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Where are we today? What are the limitations? And
that's cool.
Doing this also. So, and then, I started slowly to navigate between those two industries. So one, which is more like my expertise.
Sure.
The other one, which is more like my hobby. And today I have different projects in both of those area, and that's how I ended up here. So yeah,
Cool.
timing
Timing is
key.
everything. Like,
When you are ready,
things happen.
because of all the experience, the routine, the discipline that you have been creating before, things just click. You know, like you kind of connect the dots, and you just know what's gonna happen. I mean, you just know what you have to do tomorrow. You know what you have to do next week. You know what you have to do in a month to make that thing today happen. So yeah, that's how it happened.
Thanks for the answer. Definitely agree that timing is everything, be it work, career, or even relationship. Okay, can we talk about your secrets? Do you have any routine? Are you the kind of guy that wake up 5 a.m. every morning before the sunshine and go for a run?
I used to be. I'm not anymore.
Okay.
I used to wake up at 5:15 when I was working in CMA to make sure I hit the gym at 6.
Okay.
So my routine. Yeah, I have routine. I have sometimes I have routine where people might think like, well, I mean, especially the girlfriend, she's like, okay, this guy is crazy. But so I train. I have a routine of training, which is to me is really important. And if that goes down, it has a huge impact on my mood. It has a huge impact on my efficiency. So routine of training. I have a routine for coffee.
Okay.
Coffee is supposed to be for me. Of course, I have exceptions, but coffee is between 10 to 11 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
Not before, not after. I know that's the best time for me to have my coffee if I want to have my coffee because I like to drink coffee. But yeah, no more coffee, hopefully after 11, because I realize it has an impact on my sleep. Of course, I have exceptions because I don't like to be like strict, but that's one thing. I enjoy going every Thursday, Sunday to sauna and ice baths. That's a recovery. That's a kind of recovery protocol I have with myself. It's the days where I'm not training during the week, so I take like those days off where no fitness training. So it's a good timing for me to really recover, help the body to get back into shape, get ready for the next day. That's the fitness part. The Sunday night is also a cool way to do. I mean, the Sunday evening is also good to do that, to just you kind of prepare your week. You know, like you end up your weekend with this kind of thing. Go home, get relaxed, ready to sleep. Best condition to start the week. So I like to do that. But the most routine I have is at night before going to bed. It's like that's where I have like I have a step-by-step thing that I like to do, that I try to respect, because it's always hard, you know, with day-to-day things sometimes and business dinners or friends out, etc. to respect. But I do like to be in a room with a very low light, for example. I wear the same glasses as what you are wearing right now.
Okay.
Blue light glasses after a certain time, because you know, when you work and you do business, you're always on screens, on computers, etc., phone. So I realized that my brain is just buzzing all the time when I go to bed if I was using my phone just before that. And those glasses are really helping on that. So I would recommend to anyone.
Best investment.
Yeah, best investment. Like 2 hours at least before sleeping, if you can have those glasses on. Temperature of the room, of the bed, of the bed and the room.
Okay.
So I invested.
What's your setting?
I invested in that crazy
I know about it.
mattress. Like it's famous brand in the US, where they just like bring water on the cover, which is on top of your mattress. That is going to, in the first few weeks, study how you sleep and what's the best temperature for you. So you will have this automated adjustment that will be made. And the cool part of it is, if you have a partner, like both sides of the bed can be independently set up.
Yeah.
So I have this on my mattress that helps me to be sleeping at a certain temperature, plus the environment of the room that needs to be really cold. Like I think 2 years ago I was back in Brittany, and we had we had that electricity cut, and it was October or November.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like 10 or 12 degrees in the bedrooms at night. So we were sleeping, with big blankets and stuff like that. Best night ever.
Okay.
The air you breathe in and out is really cold. Your head is, your face is in a cold environment. It's really set you up in the right condition to fall asleep and to really slow down your heart rate, etc. So yeah, sleeping in a cold environment for me is the best thing. That and again, cold room but under blankets. So
yeah. All right. And
so those are the kind of things that I on daily basis I have in terms of routine. Yeah.
And before a business meeting, do you have a ritual?
No.
Okay, so you're always in the mindset. You're like the Hulk. You're always angry.
I think also, it's. I think when you work hard on something, when you really prepare something, like a meeting or whatever, a podcast, as soon as you show off, if you just have spent enough time, dialing your things, going through, knowing your topics, then there is no preparation needed anymore, right? It's just show up.
Do you have a quote that helps you to go through the tougher moments?
I have one which resonates a lot, yes. That is also linked to what I mentioned before. I think it's from Beckett, Samuel Beckett. And he says, try, fail, try again, fail again, but fail better. And I just love this quote. I just love this quote because it's just a summary of what I try to achieve, either in sport or business. I think failing is something that we don't value enough.
True.
And that's what I like about that quote.
It resembles you a lot.
Thank you.
Love it. Okay. There's a tradition where I'm asking you the question given by the previous guest. And after, of course, I'm going to ask you to give one for the next. The previous guest, Mathis, asked or would like to ask, though he didn't know you, what is the thing that you are the most proud of?
It's a tough question for me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You want to skip?
No, it's okay. But it's hard for me to, express like those kind of things.
I know.
I think when you are a very ambition guy, you don't easily get proud, I think I'm proud of the journey I've been having until now.
Okay.
I think I'm proud to talk about my stories. I'm proud to talk about my experience, why I've been through this and that, because today it makes sense. A lot of things make sense. After a while, you start understanding why you wanted this as a kid, why you like this, why you like that. And I am just proud of the whole journey until today. And I'm proud of the few decisions I've been taking recently, of taking risk, starting something new, new adventures, new industry. So yeah, that's the thing I am proud the most recently.
I love it. Again, I think someone said that the universe rewards risk takers and kindness. And I think you're both. So that's cool.
Thank you.
Cheers. So we're in the last 5 minutes of the discussion. I would like to go into what I call a fireside questions. So fast pace, yes, no, or one word answer. It's difficult.
Okay.
Okay. Ready?
Yep.
Who is your favorite Pokemon?
Charmander.
Salamesh.
Yes.
Mine too. Okay. Interesting. Schedule reliability in shipping matters.
Yes.
Shipping will reach net zero by 2050.
No way. One word.
One word. Okay. Cool. We can talk about it later at lunch. Who's your favorite comedian, like in a stand-up one-man show?
Jimmy Young.
Jimmy Young.
You know him?
Yeah, but that's 2 words. Not kidding.
Actually,
Okay.
it's Jimmy O Young,
Yeah.
Chinese guy
Yeah.
living in the US. I think he's an ABC guy, American born Chinese or something like this. Very funny because all his jokes is something I can relate to. So,
Really?
but yeah, because he's making jokes about China all the time. So
Sure.
me living there for 10
yeah,
plus
in that
years,
sense.
I just understand, like when he makes jokes about his own people,
Mm,
I just understand what he's talking about. So that's why I really like this guy.
okay. So we deviate a bit, but mine right now is Andrew Schulz. Andrew
Okay.
Schulz has a special right now on Netflix where he talks about his problems of fertility, which,
Okay.
as you know, is a topic I'm going through myself.
Okay.
So he was exercising the pain and the shame to have this comic talk about his own on stage and make a special about it.
Okay.
Or in general, I would say, I think Dave Chappelle. It's in mind.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Hub and spoke works, meaning it really delivers real value for the customers. Yes, no, one word.
Depends.
Depends. What is your favorite song?
Lose Yourself.
Maybe one more time?
Also.
Okay.
Second.
India can be a relevant industrial and logistic alternative to China today.
Complementary.
Okay, final question. If you were a port, which one would you be? One word.
Ningbo.
Why? One word.
Quiet.
I see. I understand. Voting the down. I understand. Okay. So the tradition is now to leave a question for the next guest. You don't know him or her. That doesn't matter.
Something I would like to hear about is what is the harsh thing that you have been forced to learn during your career and that you wish you would have been warned about during school or earlier, in your life?
Okay, very insightful question. I love it. Cool. GB, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was fun.
All right.
But I have a question for you also.
All right. Go for it.
I know you are starting a new chapter of your life.
Which is what, going to Turkey and getting hair finally?
Well,
no, kidding.
Maybe you have different chapters then. But I have a question for you because you have been asking tons of questions. So you don't have to answer now. Maybe you can make it a podcast or whatever. But it's a purpose question. And I would like to know from you, in your new chapter, knowing what you have been doing until now and what you became and everything you learned, etc., what will be the most important for you? Do you want to be successful, or do you want to be useful? And what will be and what is to you the difference? And I think it's a really important question because that's the most important question that I'm asking at myself over the last 2 years. And I just wanted to share to you this question.
Thanks. I love it. I'm going to answer something and then we can talk about it another time.
Yeah.
I want to be a good father. My next chapter is, of course, entrepreneurship, but it's also settling in my house with my wife and start a family and endeavor to try and start a family. All my life I've been thinking about how my relationships with my parents work or didn't work. Actually, more didn't work. And the only thing I would like to be tomorrow is an acceptable father.
So you want to succeed in being a good father?
Yes. A good husband and a good father.
Okay, so success. I tend to believe.
Try.
Good.
Cool.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
GB.
Nils.
Thank you so much. All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Oh, stop it. All right. Cheers.
And it might be good if we solve this now. Hey!